Doing, man?
Pretty good.
Yeah? We just got me before our, I taught a few lessons and I was like hoping it would kick in to make it enjoyable, but it kicked in now, so I'm ready.
There you go. All right, man.
Yeah, so we're talking, Nick's been practicing the electric guitar, by the way. He's inspired.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Right on.
We've been trying to figure out some shit. It's very difficult. I don't know, like I'm starting to like, trying to see it on vamps, still not like at the place we're trying to apply it to like any changes or anything like that. But I am noticing that like in the system that I kind of developed to help myself see it with like the trads and the starting points, all of the points from the major scales and from the add scales, from the major, the minor, are accounted for in the Messiaen modes. Like they share a lot.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Especially like Messiaen modes, and especially Messiaen modes from off the fifth, then there are really no, in terms of that configuration of starting points with those patterns, there are no unique places to those major scales over the Messiaen modes. Like you would have to carry longer patterns that are a little scalular to get the color. And I think that's where like your system is way better than ours. Cause like if you see the whole scale, then yeah, you focus on the Holdsworthy kind of things, but then you make these connections through other parts of the scale that really gives it its unique color. If you just isolate the Holdsworth movements without seeing the scale,
oh right,
then they just they exist in a lot of, they exist
right.
in the Messiaen modes. There you all of a sudden, literally there's an explanation for almost any place you would throw that pattern in. So I see where my system, it might be good as an entry point, but if you don't see the scale, you can't get the color still. You just are moving shapes. You're back to you're sort of back to square one of that kind of thinking, just with a theoretical explanation behind it. But it's still not the full sound of the scale.
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your way is still better than just randomly moving shapes.
Yeah, it's better to as an access point, but now I know from trying to apply it and trying to play that way that the result is just like your lines, like just like
oh yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is you're stuck in the shape.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, you're stuck in the shape, so you can't do anything outside the shape that's within the scale. Anything else.
Right.
Right. That's where. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem. It's like everything. It's not even enough to navigate a Messiaen mode because you can't. The whole idea is to be able to connect lines, to see them as just notes moving, not just like a mechanical thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still suck. I thought I was real good, but still terrible. It's not working.
I still suck too. So we got that going on. We share that.
Yeah. Cool. So are you excited for the Clone Army?
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that track is like, I mean, that's not super Holdsworthy, and it's not like pulling a lot of Holdsworth stuff out of me. It's pulling more bluesy stuff out of me.
Do it. Just throw it again. We'll do a bunch of that shit. But I think the idea, or I guess for the listeners, the Clone Army, we're gonna Brett and Thomas and NYXL and Mr. Soriso. We're all gonna, and I'm gonna play like Jeff Beck licks to make it all look like a bunch of retards. I'm gonna talk shit. It's like less is more, fools. Look at all these guys trying to play like Alan. There's only one Alan.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
No, but I think it. On a serious note, I think it is interesting for people. to see how you'd navigate a situation, throw that thing in. Obviously, we're not trying to I don't know. I'm curious to see. I mean, mine's gonna be horrible. Probably, we're gonna have to comp takes. We'll make like a mega take, and I'll just look super professional, like clip every 2 notes together.
It's a lot of editing a lot of work for Nick, huh?
Nick, you're gonna be okay. Yeah, you're gonna notice. My solo is gonna be the only one with cuts, where it's going between 2 cameras for some unknown reason.
Yeah, all the angle shifts.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see how different people draw, I guess, from different compartments of the Holdsworth universe, like in terms of like which modes, because on a vamp you can do anything.
Yeah.
And how to tie it in. Yeah. Anyways, cool. So we said we're going to talk about some of the chromatic movements.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is going to fill up a whole episode, but
Let's start. Let's see what happens.
So I know we talked about this a little bit. What happened to my tone? In one of the other videos, we brought up chromatic movements for like a short little minute or two, but
so is this a pretty isolated kind of thing in his solos?
I mean, it's just like it's a few. He has a few different things that he does, that I'll show you, and then.
But is this typically like, the question is this something that you find on like some deep cuts, or is this like the way he plays in every solo? There's moments of this.
Wouldn't necessarily say every solo, no.
Okay.
It's like mostly like on free stuff, stuff that's like that intro, that Carvin intro, right?
Yes.
That. So this is actually mode 7 right here. And then this is the chromatic movement. Right, that's all chromatic, just the chromatic scale.
Yeah.
Right.
Chromatic scale sounds different when I do it.
Yeah.
What happened there?
I know, right? But like, you'll see there's a bunch of different ones. So another one, but they all have that kind of, it's like this shape, like the half step, whole step shape. And he does this a lot. Right, so it's like the hammer on. So hammer, pull, hammer, hammer on from nowhere.
Okay. That thing?
There's a lot of this.
That?
Yeah. Right. Right, so he's just
the pattern to move from string to string is like that.
That's right.
What's that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that physical pattern split between strings.
Right. So that's one of them. Another one.
There's no Messiaen mode or something that would explain some of the things.
Nope. So these things were all things that I couldn't make scales out of. I can make scales out of them, but the problem is like when I did all the bracket thing, it was the stupidest. It's like the stupidest thing you've ever seen. Like nobody's thinking like that.
Right.
I mean, and you can see, like, the more you play this, you can just see that. Right, he's just playing out of the chromatic scale. Like, so this other one that I'm going to show you right now. So this is off of a live performance of this tune called E-tune, right?
Okay.
So on the video they called it E-tune, but it's actually zone, right? Because my friend Daryl talked to Chad Wackerman or whatever, and Chad said they mislabeled that tune on the video. So zone is like what Alan calls free, right? Whenever it's kind of like a free thing, but he still has like a root in his head, at least, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, this one in E-tune goes. Right.
So similar. I see like a lot of
similar, but there's like he's got this movement. Then he goes. I mean, that's obviously chromatic shit, right?
Okay, but the way it started, can you break that down one more time? What's the key that he's imagining this being on?
E.
Oh,
like
E.
an E pedal.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh?
Yeah, not a coincidental name, but
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
E-tune,
So,
right?
how are you starting this? Okay. Okay.
All right. So you can see right there, kind of like, he's landing on the 6.
Mm-hmm.
So Dorian.
Okay, so it's like sort of chromatic motion.
Right.
And then you have those kind of flattening fourths, like I don't know the line.
Yeah, he does that a lot. You have this movement. But he does that in mode 3 sometimes too, and mode 7. There's that movement.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Then there's another one from. Let me pull up my stuff so I can just make sure. And I'm skipping around. Yeah, this one's from. Oh wait, what was that? Wait. All right, maybe I got like some of the E-tune and part of this duplicate man thing.
This is when he's doing the descending, just chromatic stuff that's straight down. I saw you do some like 5-note per string kind of things.
That thing.
How you'd finger it?
Yeah, this is how he fingered it because there was a video. So all these fingerings, I watched the video.
Yeah,
and I got them like accurate. So
Man.
So there's another E-tune one that goes. Right. And this is 16-minute tane. He goes. Right.
Okay, so that. Yeah, what's that? That it goes up, but it looks down. What's going on? It's so confusing.
Right.
I still not all right. What's going on there? Real slow. How's the fingering work? Yeah.
So you got hammer,
Yeah.
pull, hammer on from nowhere.
Oh. But this? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this thing, it just I don't.
Right. You'd have to probably like spend some time with that.
Yeah.
Get it.
Do you have a thing? I don't know, right?
Yeah, so the 60-minute tane, there's a phrase. Something
That thing that he's doing, that's the shit.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, this. Okay, I'm going to talk in some bonehead language right now. That's unrelated to the complexity of the
that
whole.
kind of talk.
Yeah, Nick, when he goes blah 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 towards my right arm, down the neck. That's what's missing. Remind us when we're practicing. That's the thing we don't have, right? Just like looking at the guitar, a lot of his shit looks like our shit, but when he goes like this, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. Mental note.
Yeah.
I feel like that diagonal is absolutely the problem. Like for me, all I learned is how to move those kind of augmented looking shapes, but I have yet to even like play simpler shit that way in a fluid way. And I think like the relying on like the hammer-ons from nowhere too. Like can we talk like just technically like how this works? Because I don't feel like I have
Like how the hammer-ons from nowhere.
sending kind of motions with the hammer-ons from nowhere and the picking. Like
So I only pick one note right there.
Murray that you did like the whole run. How's the picking work throughout that? Yeah, I see.
So I pick this note. That's the only note. So I pick this note and this note. And that note. So the rest of that is all hammer-ons. It's like a few little pull-offs.
It's like 5 or 6 notes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 notes.
Okay, I'm still lost after this. Like it's G sharp A
But
B.
then you move your index finger to the 5th fret.
It would, but like, is it that?
Yep.
And
Well,
that's
actually, it's to the B. So it's all these 3 fingers the whole time, right?
Okay.
So there's no 4th.
Oh, this is horrible. This is so embarrassing, man.
Well, this stuff is like very awkward, when you haven't done it before.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to like spend time.
Because it's like the part of his guitar playing that's like so different from everybody else,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all those hammer-ons and hammer-ons from nowhere and all that sort of stuff. I mean, just like you said, I think in the first episode, we don't play guitar this way.
We really don't though. Yeah, but it's like, man, it's rough. It's the rate that this content is coming out is much greater than the rate that a person can take it in.
Yeah, man, for sure.
It's like I really do feel that way. Like, we keep talking and we keep like advancing, but like my frustration as a student is that like I have not figured out how to move structures through the major add flat 3, flat 6 in anything approximating, a fluid way. And it's like each one of these subjects is literal eternity. It's like, it's impossible to, I mean, most people don't even start, so like, and you have to have so much pre-knowledge to even like gain some sort of shallow access to it, that it's a real challenge.
I mean, it's like,
Going.
yeah. I mean, the more you mess with it, it just starts to become not as big of a deal. But
yeah,
I remember when it was,
Yeah.
But I mean, Thomas and I have been dealing with it now since like 2018. So like on a consistent everyday basis, so.
For you, like when you're practicing guitar, when you sit down to play, how do you balance like this approach with just like normal shit, like playing blues? Like, you know what I mean? Like when you, I don't know, how does it work? Like, do you, like,
I don't really get to play for like my own enjoyment hardly at all anymore. So it's all like, it's all just, making sure I have my shit together enough to come on here and talk to you about it.
Well, clearly you're the only one that cares about it.
So, but anyway, even before that though, like a lot of my time is just spent when I'm playing just on the couch, just kind of visualizing those scales.
Yeah.
I'll watch football and that's what I do. I'm watching football and I'm playing through all these scales and shit and I'm trying to connect them and stuff like that. And then every now and then I'll get some wild hair up my ass and I'll come in here and just film myself playing over a track for a minute or whatever. It's usually, I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to go film something, whatever, see what happens. And then sometimes I get something cool and I post it,
Yeah.
But
okay.
I haven't really got to, especially, with like, since the book came out and then trying to get it on Amazon and then having all the issues with typos and shit like that. And then it's just been like, I don't get any time to play. So once this book is finally passed, where I don't have to think about it anymore, which is hopefully next week sometime. That's what I want to do is really actually get to play,
Fuck yeah.
So.
Well, we get to play, and I'll tell you, it's very hard to balance this fucking approach with the rest of it. Like
I mean, the only time I get to play is, like in lessons with students, if I'm trying to give examples of soloing over standard or something like that, or if Thomas comes over and like he and I just do kind of the thing we did on that one episode where we're just trying to hear the sounds of each scale and switch from different scales and see what kind of,
I guess I'll explain my question a little differently. Like when I play over like a track, it's a one chord thing. I don't really have a perspective of like sitting in this cockpit of my consciousness and being like, now do this, now do that, go to your blues thing, like I just have, like I feel like my brain is very simplistic. I just have this play button and it's just like choosing the first thing I see.
Yeah, I mean,
how forward does it have to be a conscious choice for you when you're playing, or is it like at this place where it's totally integrated with your?
It's all based on what I'm playing over, right? The track. So like when you sent me that track, the C minor track, I was like, well, I'm not going to be doing a bunch of Holdsworth stuff over this because that's not calling, you know what I'm saying? It's not calling me to do that. I feel like it's going to probably be more of what I did before I did all this stuff, Well,
I mean, I think that's the interesting part. Like if you just press play on what you did before this stuff, is that even really available to you anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's there. Like, so.
That's what I'm saying. How integrated is the Holdsworth stuff into like what you would hear over a vamp? right? It's like it had to have infiltrated on some level, and that's the
Oh
interesting.
yeah, I mean it's taking over. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
it's taking over,
like a
taking
fire.
over. But still, when I hear, because I did like the blues and jazz thing for, traditional jazz thing for so long, like I don't think it's going anywhere, But this stuff does come out now too, without me having to think much about it. It'll just come out. You
Yeah,
know, not everything that I want to come out comes out because I'm still working on things and you know,
yeah.
but like like I know we talked about this a little bit, but like kind of the way I was thinking about the 9-note scales has changed a little bit when I'm soloing. So
Oh yeah, you
what
were
I,
saying that you figured out a way to see like the major scale that's inside all three of the 9-note scales as sort of a steady part, and then change the.
right. So just the add notes are kind of changing, right? Whereas before, like what I would do is I'm trying to really, this is what I want to do in the end is be able to visualize the whole neck. Think of a scale, and like Alan says, all the notes light up, available notes light up, right? And when I switch to another scale, it switches, right? But when I'm playing over something, so this just kind of happened when I was messing around over that D minor track, right? I just started seeing like all the add notes. I just started going, oh, there's C sharp, so I played something out of that, and then I saw like A flat, so I played something out of, or A flat into E flat, so I played like out of the jazz major
Just to
flat to
break
E
it down
flat.
for people listening, we're talking about like a D Dorian type
Yeah,
vamp.
D Dorian
You
type
were
of thing.
saying C major, add flat three, flat six, intersecting with the D jazz minor.
Right. So instead of trying to see like, this box, which is like the D minor, and then going in my brain, okay, now I'm going to go into the C jazz major, right? So I just went from the D minor one to the C jazz major one, and then in my mind go, um, to like the G dominant one with the added, flat 3 and 7. So then I'd be like into that kind of thing or whatever. Instead of doing that, I was messing around. It just happened kind of by accident. I mean, I had thought about it before, but I had never really had the time to work on it. Like I said, I still don't have time to do shit. But I was playing over that track, and I just started playing, right? And I wasn't really trying to think of anything. And I went like through this where I'm thinking the jazz major thing. And then I just saw this C sharp, and I was like, well, shit, I can keep going like that. And I'm in the new scale. Right. So then I started kind of thinking like that, and I was just thinking of the add tones. So then I got like some phrases that were, right. So that's like, I went C jazz major to the D jazz minor to mode 3 to the G jazz dominant, right? So I'm just seeing the major scale, and then I'm seeing those add tones, and I'm trying to just grab those almost the way that like if you were doing bebop, right? Like that kind of thing. But
But I mean, I think it makes total sense to me how it fits with the Allen system, because all those share tones of the major scale that you're seeing are how you're kind of traveling smoothly with common tones between
right,
sounds. So
right,
so the shared tones, like since you like switching on common tones, are a natural. Like it makes sense to see a bunch of scales that intersect with like 7 common tones.
right,
You can
yeah,
always transition that way.
yeah. But like I hadn't necessarily done that though. I had always tried to see the whole neck change when I thought, or I was just working on a particular scale over D minor, right? Like I would just be like, okay, I'm in the D jazz minor one, and I'd be in that one, and I'm working on that scale, right? And that sound. And then I'd be like, all right, I'm in the C jazz major one, and I'm working on that sound. And then I'd be in the dominant one or mode 3, and I'm just working on those particular sounds. Then it wasn't until like, I was trying to, well, again, I wasn't really thinking about it, but I was thinking that I wanted to switch through different scales quicker, right? Because that's what Alan does. Alan switches through scales very quick. I mean, there's a line we can look at if you want to look at it, but we're not even finished with the chromatic movements yet. Yeah. One of the things I want to say though was like, so I started thinking like this, right? So if you take like C major, you go up a minor third, you got E flat minor pentatonic, that's all your add notes, right? So this helps with like going to other keys, right? So if I went to A major.
So by that you mean, just to break it down to people, those, if you go a minor third out and play a minor pentatonic, those are all the notes that are not available in
right, those are all the black keys on the piano, whereas C major is all the white keys. And you can start adding notes, but you can think of that scale, if you can see E flat minor pentatonic all over the neck, and you can kind of mix it with C major, you know what I'm saying? The only thing that you got to think about is, if you add C sharp and E flat together, then you're not really playing one of those scales. You're playing too many half steps in a row to be a scale Alan would be dealing with. But you do got to be conscious of that, unless you're using one of his, if you're doing a chromatic movement, well, then that's a chromatic movement. But anyway, so I was just thinking that when I was thinking about going to other keys, if I just think, the major scale and then the minor pentatonic up a major or up a minor third from that scale, or for me, which is, since I minor convert everything, it's really just B minor if it's A major. To me, it's B minor up a half step is the pentatonic, right?
Right.
And it's just being aware of, okay, if I add E flat and A flat, that's going to give me the major flat 3, flat 6. If I add A flat and C sharp, that's going to give me the minor one.
Slow down. So it's like you're taking A Dorian or B Dorian and C minor pentatonic. So like a Dorian mode.
But I went back to C to do the example or whatever. But I'm saying when you switch keys, if you just think of that pentatonic, right? And then because I have ADD, I jump back to C major and E flat minor pentatonic.
Yeah.
That might be easier for everybody to follow, right?
Yeah, but that, again, the idea was that like instead of looking at C, you're actually looking at D Dorian. So
I'm looking at D Dorian because
a better way to, and it's like I see it's visually very easy to see that kind of impact for some reason.
Then it's just being aware of which add notes give you what scale out of that pentatonic, right? It's just another way to try to think about it,
No, that makes total sense.
And then it's what it does is it enables you to be able to switch through the scales like a lot faster on a vamp anyway,
Right, just by changing the location. Changing the location. Like you look at that pentatonic up a half step is just kind of like a palette of 5 colors, and you can just take 2 at a time and add it.
Right, 2 at a time.
And it doesn't really change your vision in a very like dramatic way to where you can just make quick adjustments.
Right. Where like, in the past when I'm practicing this, I'm typically thinking of, I'm going to be playing through changes. So I'm thinking of the scales as individual entities, and then going from like the D jazz minor one into like, A flat jazz major or something like that, or into D flat mode 3 or whatever,
Okay, so I see how the system is useful, but it's all, in a way, it's only useful when you keep the same Dorian shape in place.
Well, it's useful in a vamp.
Yeah, but like even if you're there are obviously other options from each one of these scales that would fit.
But even like it would work over changes too, if you think about it. I mean, if you're playing over a 2-5-1 in C, right? D minor, G7, all of those scales work. over that 2-5-1, right? The C jazz major works over it, the D minor, add flat 5, flat 7 works, and the dominant one with the flat 3-7 works, because those are all C major, right? So you could still weave in and out of them on a 2-5-1 or something.
Sure. My question is a little different. What I was saying is that like it doesn't give you access to the other more like esoteric modes from like major, add flat 3, flat 6 that would also fit on a D minor. So like
right. Well, it would just be, I mean, for me, it would be like the modes are going to be however I think about my minor conversion thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you have to recalibrate it to like some other route.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just, you know, if I'm thinking about minor conversion, right?
They really have to come up with a better name for that one.
Minor conversion? That's Martino, man. You can talk to him about that.
I don't know. It sounds like something that the Clintons go on a date to.
Love some jumper cables.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But
fall down.
But anyway, you know, I mean, if I want like a Phrygian sound, right, over.
Yeah, that would be like, that would be sort of the question. Like if you're making that, you're in a vamp in D minor and you want.
I'm just thinking F. I'm thinking F minor is my minor conversion, and then my add notes are going to come after that, right? After I'm in that thing, right? And I've been doing the minor conversion thing so long that like if I look at a chart, like each of those chord symbols just, I automatically go, you know, D minor, B minor, F minor, or whatever. No matter what chord symbol I see, my brain converts it like instantly to minor, you know. And then once I'm in that minor, like I can see.
When you say minor, it's always Dorian, though, right? It's like
it's always Dorian, technically. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So this is something actually I don't quite get in the context of like major chords. I know we're sliding out of Holdsworth here, but like, how is it useful to see a C major 7?
So if I had C major 7, I could play D minor, which is going to give me Ionian, or A minor, which is going to give me Lydian, right?
Yes, but I guess for like jazz language, like wouldn't it like, when you're applying it to a major place, wouldn't it kind of light up things that you don't necessarily want to see on that? Like,
no, I mean, it's like not for me. I mean, not the way that like Martino plays, right? Which is where I'm coming from, because he was like my biggest influence until Alan, I guess.
Okay.
You know, but you know, because Pat Martino plays like a lot of 16th notes and stuff like that, right? He's not necessarily playing like straight through outlining every individual chord necessarily, right? But also the minor conversion thing is really just a visual thing. It just helps you, it just helps your neck light up, right? It's not meant to be, I'm thinking of this D minor 7 chord over C major, and I'm going to play all these, you know, I'm going to play F and A, and you know what I'm saying? I'm not thinking of that arpeggio. I'm just thinking of the minor 7, and that gives me all these different scale options, right? And line options, which typically with Martino's thing, it's that. Like that kind of thing, right? So,
just seeing language in these areas.
Right. And I mean, I can take that and resolve it, right? If I went. So there's Dorian. There's Phrygian. There's dominant, right? So I can resolve it and make that depending on what.
So you're just thinking about it more like an entry point to an area, and then just how you get out of it is what matters. Not so much what you're outlining, because it's mostly like fast scale motion, and then just like how and where you're resolving to.
Yeah, so like resolution is a thing, big part of it, and You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's that more post-bop kind of stuff, right? That Coltrane, where it's just fast 16th notes, sheets of sound type of stuff, which is similar to the Holdsworth thing, right? It all comes back to that, right? It all comes back to Coltrane in the end. Everybody's chasing train.
Right.
But like, you know, it's not that Sonny Stitt, Charlie Parker, who were like outlining every single freaking chord, and you know what I mean? That's not what post-bop was.
Right.
Post-bop was more like there's more chromaticism, there's more 16th notes, there's more, you know, out there kind of tonalities and stuff, and it wasn't necessarily it's not bebop, right? It's different. So,
yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's check out more chromatic lines.
All right. So let me remember what all we got. I did the Carbon one, E-tune.
Yep.
16 min. All right. So we got this one's really cool. He does this in Isotope on the Standards album.
Uh-huh.
Right, that kind of thing.
What's going on?
That's a stretch, man.
How are you?
So it's like two minor third, you know, you could play it like this.
Oh, I see. You're stretching? Oh, fuck. That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's just like these minor triads that keep going up?
Then he changes it right here.
Shit. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what he did in the tune, in that particular tune, but chromatic movement part is this.
So it's like two minor triads, two major triads going up, basically?
Yeah. Yeah, major. So he can't just be normal and just keep doing that one.
Yeah.
He has to change
something. Ah, fuck, it's so stretchy. Man, I gotta hold the guitar like this. It's not natural.
Yeah. So that's one of them. And then on the drums were yellow. This one actually fits into mode 7 too, but you can think of it as like one of the chromatic movements. It also fits in the jazz minor scale part of it. Like that kind of thing.
You said you could think about it as one of the modes or as a chromatic movement?
Yeah, like in mode 7, fits in mode 7.
Then why would you think about it like a chromatic movement?
Do what?
Why would you think about it as a
I mean, if you're just playing something that's kind of a free thing and you're just going for it, it's just another thing to grab that's out there, you know?
Okay, I got you.
It's like
it works.
I got this thing I've stole from Holdsworth. I can just fucking rip it out, you know?
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, because like mode 7 is so chromatic anyway, right? So mode 7 is right. That's really what mode 7 is, right? And it's really like, if you just take like, I mean, the way I kind of think of it is like it's B diminished with 2 added notes, you know? C
Which
sharp,
added notes?
C sharp and G. If I'm trying to do C mode 7. This fits in mode 7 too, like this thing that Holdsworth does on that intro solo, the carving thing, after he goes. Like that.
Yeah, I remember that shit. So that's just like. Yeah.
So it's a 7-note grouping.
Oh, you're starting.
Yeah, that thing.
You gotta get. It's always that shit.
Yeah.
Do what?
Our monkey brain. We need the downward. We need the downward that way stuff. Then we'll be unstoppable. Yeah, but I like how I like that like flurry that like makes you feel like you're falling downstairs. Kind of motion. You really need to sit down and study, Nick. You have to stop distracting me.
What?
Nick has to stop distracting me, so we can practice what's important.
These goddamn videos.
Gotta stop making videos all day and work on the real stuff. Okay.
I mean, that's pretty much it for the chromatic movement stuff.
What? So Rizzo showed like had one thing in his course from the drums were yellow that like was like.
Oh yeah.
Those kind of things. Is that because was that?
Yeah. What about
those kind of like major thirds and sixes going down by half steps? Is that considered a chromatic movement?
No, it's a scale. I'd have to look at the. I can pull it up real quick.
That's a scale.
Hang on.
Magic.
Why can't it be magic?
Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
That thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a pattern that Alan plays in mode 3. So
Mode 3?
yeah, but he's cycling through like 2 different mode 3s, right? So it's like the pattern, this part, that's one mode 3, right? Then when he goes
like in 2 keys.
in 2 keys, right? Right, and then
So that's back to an inversion of the first one.
So I have it as I mean, in the drums were yellow. It's F mode 3 to E flat mode 3 to F to E flat, right? And then he also does that lick in the intro to, oh my god, one of the songs on oh my god, I can't even remember the name of the album. Fuck. I don't deserve to be a Holdsworth clone.
Now, don't tell me that. We were made in your image.
Let's see, what album is that?
Yeah. How are we gonna do this? Do you think we're gonna do it? Do you think like
road games? Yeah, road games.
road games?
Whatever that goes into that riff. Yeah, that line is that little pattern. It's the same pattern. He plays it a lot, right?
God. Now it's yeah, just being honest, like, you know, we gotta figure out a way to like slow down our video production to where we can devote more of our lives to this. It just takes I see how seriously you need to take some of this shit to make it stick. You know, I feel like after we're done with, like, maybe next week we'll do something about mode 7, and then we just have to go back to the beginning and actually learn this shit. Because it's like, I mean, I don't know how, when, where you're at right now with the, like, which one of these scales would you say? I'm assuming mode 3 you have the most control.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
From all of them, and like a
All the
second.
Messiaen scales. Yeah.
Are you more familiar with that one? Let's say like the major add flat 3, flat 6, or out of the 9-note
About
scales?
the same. Like those two are probably about the same.
Oh,
Those
this-
are the main two I think that I draw from the most.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Okay.
Those are just my favorite ones. They have like all the stuff I want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, still, I mean, there's other ones I want to get. That's what I'm saying. If I have more time, to actually play and work on the things I want to work on and everything, I mean, my chops are I mean, they suck right now. They're just suck, compared to what I know I'm capable of,
Yeah.
So, I have no stamina or anything in my hand. It's all, because I spend most of my time like looking for, typos in the book and shit for the last 2 weeks anyway.
Well, we'll take your floppy noodles.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I guess having done some of it and thought about some of it again, I mean, I think people that are watching this are aware of like how much we work. You know what I mean? Like we're working full time making
You guys
content.
put out more videos than anybody that I see in music.
Oh yeah. But no, by a factor of like 5.
Yeah, because no one would do it because it's a bad idea.
It's a terrible idea. Yeah.
Nobody learns that much.
No, but we're just excessive. But like I'm saying, like between teaching and doing this, it's like I honestly have very little time in my day to dedicate to it, and I guess after we're done with sort of the first lap through the material, just to understand the scope. Because honestly, like after we talked the first time, even the third time, it didn't click for me exactly how much is in this.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things though to keep in mind, right, is that Alan has limited ideas in a bunch of these scales too.
Oh yeah.
So 100%. It's like he didn't have mode 4, like mode 4 and mode 6 and stuff like as thorough as mode 3. So he's the same as the rest of us, where there's certain scales that like he's very comfortable in, and then some that he's got a few ideas in, and then you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like anybody. Like Sonny Stitt has like 3 things he doesn't diminish. Yeah, a lot of times.
From Charlie Parker, right?
Yeah. But like a lot of these guys, like have like just use a scale for one. Like Michael Brecker with Augmented, there's like or Bob Berg, there's like these couple of ideas that they use.
Right.
But it's not like they're freely playing these things. They've extracted something, they know how to apply it, and it's kind of more like a lick from the scale on really specific music.
And there's that, I don't know if you've seen that, but there's this Brecker book that's out now where somebody, like one of his students or something, got his practice journal from his wife.
And
he typed it into like Finale or something, so it's all clean looking. And it's everything Michael Brecker practiced from like 1967 to 2002.
Wow.
Little things that he wrote down. There's a bunch of 2-5-1 lines in there. There's a bunch of cycle lines, digital patterns, like, and he has little notes to himself of like apply over, up a half step from whatever, and like, like all the same little shit that we all think about. And it's like,
it's amazing that he kept a journal.
Yeah, he kept a journal. It is amazing because I haven't journaled shit. So.
Yeah, me neither. Sorry, I didn't thought it was important.
The closest thing I've journaled is all Alan shit, I guess, in the book.
Like the Anne Frank of practicing.
Yeah. You know, the other thing, man, that I always try to tell my students is like, because, you know, it can be overwhelming to think about these scales and to have them under your fingers, you know, in all 12 keys. Well, in these, they're limited, right? It's limited keys.
Right.
Like they have like freaking 4 keys or 6 keys or whatever. But like with the Messiaen scales anyway. But, you know, Alan played on the same tunes all the time, right? His tunes. And
Yeah, I have to say, when we were on the road, I was so surprised that like they would play the same tunes every show with no variation, like never throw in anything else. Like he really insisted, like, you know, the couple of tunes that he was like super comfortable with, like, you know, it's like Fred and Protocosmos and like, you know, Devil Take the Hindmost, like, you know, things like that. But like just a lot of the more ambitious forms are not something that like in his later age he would ever do.
Yeah, because I mean it's like a lot, man. The changes to like 0274, the form and the amount of changes that are going on and shit is just insane, you know. And like 16-minute tane too, it's like although the, you know, chord sequence cycles in a particular way and then it just changes keys and major thirds or whatever, but
it's a bitch.
yeah, but it's not like he was getting a chart thrown at him and like whipping out mode 4 and whatever key and like, you know.
Right, stuff that he was playing every night and he knew how to do it. He wrote it, he designed the situation for himself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's like with some of these scales, if you want to use them, really all you need is like a handful of ideas, you know, 4 or 5 ideas. That's not even a handful, less than a handful. Right. So it's like, if you just want to use it, you know, it's kind of like
I think I told you to. I remember we were like, so the idea came when this 2012 that like Dani, our saxophonist, is going to sit in with them and play a tune, but he doesn't know any of Holdsworth's tunes. So we were like in the van, and Jimmy Haslip is like telling him the chords. He's like, "Oh, you go to C major here, and then it's like D minor," and now it's like, "You play a D minor?" It's like it's D major 7. It's like, oh yeah, and like he kept like explaining him to Dani and like saying, and then it's like, yeah, it's like listening to him, it's like, what the fuck have we been playing? So that just goes to show you something about bassists that's universal.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, he was playing the right roots.
Yeah.
But it was, the old music was at that stage of Alan's thing was so avant-garde, but nobody noticed, right? They've been touring for years with that formation, and nobody ever had to explain to somebody who didn't know the changes, and we were just in the situation where it came up. I was just like, oh,
yeah,
it's getting heated.
Pretty funny. I mean, it's interesting, you know. I mean, it just goes to show that Alan knows stuff, you know, if he's recognizing the names, because, you know, he has symbols. I don't know if we talked about this too or not, but I'm starting to feel, I mean, I've felt this way for a while, but like with the Messiaen scales and with the 9-note scales and stuff like that, like just a particular symbol makes a lot of sense rather than like trying to come up with a chord symbol that's going to convey that scale. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So just like a code name for all the notes present without any
right. So like for me, you know, I mean, just for the Messiaen scales, I just call them like whatever key it is, and then MM3, MM4, right? So
somebody, I don't know if I'm the guy. I remember I was trying to think about that, like in the shower, like what are good names for these things? Somebody needs to have the balls to call them something to where we all know.
I just want a symbol, right? So whatever the symbol is, but I don't know what it would be for other than Alan's symbols, which I know. I mean, those make sense to me. I could use his symbols.
Sure.
You know, but that's not going to help anybody else, you know?
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think, like, you know, I think with with a lot of the Holdsworth patterns that, like, me and Nick have been doing as content, that are kind of following that one concept. I mean, I feel like it sort of completed itself to where I know now that for somebody who has zero of that sound under their fingers, it's some sort of access point to something that's closer than nothing. But yeah, you're gonna still have to do the footwork of like just learning the scales so you can completely see them as one family of sound, and then work on those diagonal movements. I guess I think that should be what we focus on with this stuff, because
That's going to be your new Holdsworth patterns video. I can see it, right? It's coming.
it has to be,
or the next day.
it has to be that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's like, for me, I felt real smart figuring out that one thing, but then I was just like, ooh, but it's like it makes you play a certain way.
Right. Yeah.
So, and it doesn't sound like the lines you're playing.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if that could be good.
Well, listen, our goal is, we're not here to create, we're here to clone. And, just feel like I'm cloning the wrong shit. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, great. I think this is, it went in interesting directions, and I think it's really, really good. Like, it's really good for people to start, I don't know, after we're done cycling through this first round through it, start like really taking things apart in a deeper, slower kind of way.
Yeah.
So maybe next week we'll do mode 7, and then, because you're saying you're trying to write a second book about how to think about this shit.
Well, like a system of organizing it, right? So like what degrees you can play the scales, all the different scales off of. So I'm taking the 22 scales, and then so this is just for like people that want to play in a more traditional way, but use this stuff too, right? So, because for me, like, when I write like etudes or whatever, or if I'm like writing tunes for an album or whatever, when I use this stuff to do it, I'm not thinking just minor chords or major chords. I'm just thinking of these group of notes, and then I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not helpful for everybody that wants to be able to maybe use this material and solo on it in situations that are actually, useful in most gig situations, right? So I'm just taking minor, major, dominant, diminished chords, minor 7 flat 5, so like the 6 basic chord types, and then showing you how the different ways you can use, like, each of the 22 scales.
So just like applying it directly to chords and seeing it like
applying it directly, right? Yeah, and thinking of it instead of thinking, like what I do a lot is, okay, does this scale have this minor triad in it, right? So we've talked about how Alan, if it has the triad in it of whatever the chord is, then it's a go-to scale. It doesn't have to have the 7th, doesn't even have to have the 5th, really. I mean, even that's in the triad, but there is stuff that I've seen where he's not playing, certain notes are omitted from the voicing and the scale, right? So crap, I lost my train of thought.
the idea is how you see it, like how you're organizing it based on triads that are.
Yeah, right. So instead of that, right,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be, okay, you can play jazz major flat 3 flat 6 on a D minor chord, right? If you go down down a whole step, C major jazz,
Right.
so C jazz major flat 3 flat 6, blah blah blah.
I see.
Right, and then like mode 3 off the root, of a minor chord or whatever. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's going to be very useful. Like,
and so, like, on a major chord,
question we get hung up on, like when we're looking at changes, it's like, okay. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing though, like for the outside of the Messiaen scales, any of the other 9-note scales, which are all related to C major, would be used in the exact same way that you would use a C major scale.
Right, because you're just looking at the subsets, whatever. So, yeah.
Right. So if you want a Lydian sound, then you're going to play on C major. Then you just play G major, add flat 3, flat 6.
Right.
Right. Instead of C.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of thing, you know.
So you go into that too, or mainly focus on like the Messiaen modes and how to like apply the more esoteric sounds?
No, this particular thing, well, I don't know what it's going to evolve into, because shit that I do tends to evolve over time into massive mammoth things that make me want to jump off a bridge. But like right now, it's just, you know, just a way to organize, kind of like the Lydian chromatic concept is a way of organizing harmony for people, you know what I mean? So like it's that same kind of thing, but utilizing all of these 22 scales that Alan used.
I think it's really interesting. It's going to be good also to kind of like have it sort of apart from Alan, right? Like removing the transcription.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing too, is I'd like
into a system.
Yeah, into a system that's not related to necessarily Alan, but is using the scales that, you know, I got from him.
Yeah, just sort of a deep dive into the application.
Right. Yeah.
I think the key thing is like not like to separate. That's the thing that always gets me, because there are the things that happen rarely and the things that happen all the time. So it's like just have some sort of coding system for what's likely to happen on the minor chord and what happened twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like some shapes, some things are just constant in the music. Like you just hear the same shit again and again and again. And it's not really licks. It's just like application of specific sounds on specific chords. So that's a tricky part. All right, cool. We won't take any more of your time. Thank you, Brett. You're a saint. If anybody is digging what you're seeing, the book is out there. You can go and follow the link below to get the book and also get the packet that comes with this thing. See you soon.
All right, man.